Hello everyone, welcome to my channel and welcome to my bus, a 1978 T2, also known as a bay window Volkswagen. As you can see, there's still a lot to do. I've worked on it a bit. Major rust is all removed. It's mostly just patching holes and welding some big panels back on. It is a original German bus, of course. Was sold in the Netherlands, and that's where I'm from, and lived its entire life in the Netherlands until 2016. It was shipped to Belgium, and it was never registered there. It got restored, sorta. They started restoring it. So, by not by an actual restorer company, it was restored by a school for restoring cars. So the welding work and the panel work and just the general metal work is not done very well. Came across a lot of things that were just done incorrectly, just wrong. Some things actually quite dangerous. So I'm trying to redo all those things, of course, but it's quite a lot of work, and I was thinking maybe it's interesting to show the world. I love watching restoration videos on YouTube, so I was thinking why not make my own. So let's start showing you around because there's a lot to see. Okay, so here's the bus. As you can see, these butt cheeks, I forgot the real name, but they've been replaced. Not done very well because there's an indent there. Done by the previous owner. It was done so poorly that I have to extend this piece here just slightly. Well, slightly. It was around 1 centimeter. So it's quite a lot to make the rear light fit in. So I'll probably have a little bit of a lip visible, but I'm fine with that. Like I said, doesn't need to be perfect, just needs to be a nice car. So I've welded on these tabs that were missing on the replacement panels. I'm working on the engine bay. I've took out a piece here because there was a lot of rust there. It's completely gone. So I've cleaned that up and I sprayed it in with rust converter and a wax seal. So that's now drying and I need to weld that back in. For the most part the inside is quite alright. Here's some ugly welds. I need to weld in a piece here. It's done quite poorly. This piece is not original. It's also not an accurate replacement panel, which is something the previous owner made. Same with this piece, it's been replaced, but it's just a straight piece of metal that's been welded on this edge. Worked on here a bit, it's not really looking too pretty, need to clean this up. I've got some rust here too, but I've cleaned that up and not sure I'm going to fill in these holes. Probably with like a kit, a seal, because I believe this is a quite common spot to get rust, and just using a chemical product will help me prevent rust again. For the most part it's quite alright. Done some, I've not done, but the previous owner done some bad welds there. And the inside, that raised piece has been replaced. There's some major rust restoration here because this piece was entirely rusted away, so I replaced it with a donor piece, and on top I've welded that in as well and cleaned it up a bit. It's ready for filler. For the most part quite alright. Major rust here too. It was all rotted away, but I replaced it and cleaned it up. All just spare pieces of metal. This is still quite bad, but I'm again most likely going to not going to replace anything, but just use a kit, a seal, stuff to fill it in. Something weird happened here, so I've welded in a new piece of metal. This is done alright, I suppose. Curvature is not perfect, but you know, like I said, it doesn't have to be perfect all. It's just a cheap boss. I want to get road ready. And some work here, rusted through. Also here. So welded in new gutter pieces. This is done by the previous owner. Not a replacement panel, but just something they made. But this is probably easy enough to replace anyway, so it was nice. It's done quite well, except for this part here. I've cut it out now, but it just looked awful, like angles and just holes in it, and then try to fill it in with filler, and it was just a mess. So I just cut it off and need to make some small patches for that. This has been replaced as well, the dog legs. Was alright, not really nice. Some weird holes, and still not welded in fully. Just a couple to hold it in. The fitting was just terrible as well. Not sure if because it was it's just cheap Danish steel, I believe. Well, the fitting was so bad, or the previous owners just didn't know what to do. Most likely the second. Holes in the cabin, but those are easily enough to fix. I'll just have to weld it all up. I'll just put a little piece here. I need to check how far this piece can go. I've got some pictures for that. 'Cause I'm afraid I need to just follow this line downwards. So weld it on the rounded edge, and this thing is protruding too much. So we cut this off and then fill it in. It's just a lot of welding work and then just grinding it away. So I cut this piece out because the entire panel has been extended, weirdly enough. Again, Danish metal, so probably wasn't a good fit overall. I hope that the windshield was done correctly. I did some measuring with a buddy of mine who has his own bus, and we came to the conclusion it's alright. Like the spacing here and the height of the bump and such were all correct, so it should fit, but I'm still afraid it won't. So the front piece, I want to cut out the recess, make that flat and weld it back in, and I have to pull this entire front like a centimeter or something in front, or more outwards, because I think it's too much inwards. What's done very poorly though is this cut right here. It's unfortunately been cut here instead of on top here. What I just don't understand, because well, they replaced this front piece, but instead of destroying then the one they wanted to replace, they destroyed the good bumper. It's just dumb, really dumb, and very unfortunate. So I have to figure out something. I'm going to weld this onto this. I'm thinking of like corner pieces, and then weld them on top of here, or on the back of here. Not too sure yet. I think on the back, and then you know, regular welds right here. I don't have a spot welder, so I have to do it with MIG, but that's probably fine. I probably don't have these pieces. It's a bit unfortunate. I have to look for those, but I'm afraid I don't have those. So the dog legs here, replaced as well. Done very poorly again. Look at this. This is just a mess. This looks like someone's been murdered here. It's just awful. I'll just have to figure something out and how to make it look alright. I don't know where again this ends, so I have to ask that person that buddy of mine or look at some pictures. It's done alright, you know, you probably won't see it. Little hole here, easy fix. This is done so badly, my god. It's just awful looking at it. So I removed the entire sliding sill because it was rotted away. Just had to be replaced entirely. I've got that piece, I just need to weld it in back. Just need to weld it back in. Not sure why I haven't done it yet. Alright, I'm missing that piece right here. I forgot what it's called. The chassis part right there. But I'm also having to put in the chassis part here and between this beam and on the other side a piece. I do have that piece and I do have that piece. I just need this piece right here. Welded in. This has been replaced as well. It's welded in quite alright, but as you can see it's quite low here. So I've removed all these welds and raised it up a bit, but I still need to do some slight work, but that's for later when I'm adding the chassis beams. So I don't know what happened here, because I believe there should be a narrow piece there and one or two beams, like the thicker ones, below that. This is even not the right one, because that beam should be below this, below the floor where the shifter rod goes through. So I don't know what happened there. I'll probably have to pull that off. There was one there too, and I pulled that off, right off. It was welded and glued, but it was done so poorly I could just pull it off with a little bit of force. After welding this panel in, I've started making some patches for the arch. It's not done yet, and then need to weld in this big panel back on. I do have that. And right, the gutter. I need to replace these two pieces as well. And as a whole, I need to replace that. I've got the pieces, just need to weld it back in. For the most part, that's pretty much it. So it looks awful, well, except for the thousands of holes they drilled in. Every bare piece is a hole, and yeah, some of them are original, like the middle ones there and the twos there. I'm not sure about those, maybe. But there's just so many. Why are there so many holes in here? That's just one side, because I still have this side as well. No clue why they drilled so many holes in the bus, but okay. And yeah, so there should be recesses right here and right there. But they replaced the entire bulkhead and, well, they just made it flush. It's quite unfortunate, and it's like €60 per recess. You can wait, you can even see them if you know what I'm talking about. So those recesses, like, it goes inwards all the way to the end. The same on this side. Don't know what happened. The air holes, I need to cut those out too. I've got the measurements, just need to cut them out. I don't have any supports for the chairs, but that won't be a problem because I've got that pieces now. These were originally together as one piece, and they hold up the bench and the chair. And what I'm going to do is put these next to each other, away from each other, and now they will hold the chairs separately. So I can use original bus stuff to make a walkthrough. So these will just be welded flush, and then grind off the sharp edges. Just show a piece on here. I think that would look quite nicely. It's original bus stuff, and then my bus has a walkthrough, what I really wanted. The bulkhead wasn't original anyway, so restoring it to original, well, I could have done that, but I don't want that anyways. I wanted to walk through. And a piece there. Just rotted away too, and need to just weld it in. That's pretty much it for welding, right? I still have the doors and such. Oh wait, sorry. Those pieces need to be round, so I need to weld something in there to make that hole round, because I've got a lid for it. It's access to the tank. So yeah, it's just pretty much that. Filling in some small holes and then do some relatively big panel work like that one, and then a lot of chassis work and the doors, but the doors are pretty much done anyways. I think the sliding door has to do some welding work on the bottom. It's been replaced, but it hasn't been welded in correctly yet, and the other doors are pretty much done, like the hatches and the front doors, so that's great. I've going to have to paint the dashboard as well, but that won't be a big problem. But that's just, of course, body work. Still have to do a lot of engine work, which you maybe have seen. Here's the engine. So it's this regular 1600cc engine, but it's got a 5-rib engine gearbox. So that's a weird combination. It's just what I got. I'm happy though, because these ones are very expensive and they're good. This engine now is totally not original. I believe it's a 60s engine, though my boss is a late 70s. And well, my boss didn't came with a 1600 engine. It came with a, it didn't came with a 5-rib gearbox, but it came with a 3-rib. Because in Europe, these bushes, even the later ones, pretty much all of them, the upright engines, the Type 4 variants were just not as popular here. Don't really know why. It's very unfortunate, because now if you want one, because they're way stronger, they're really expensive. Like, not really worth the hassle, because they're like a couple of grands if you want to get one. What's ridiculous, because these ones are just dirt cheap. But the gearbox is nice, because that's like 400 to a grand as well, so it's nice, because the 3-rib standard ones are cheap as hell. So yeah, as you can see, still a lot to do, but it's quite doable, I believe. Definitely because I'm not going for perfect. Because I'm going for perfect, I'll have to redo everything and buy every panel pretty much new, because it's done so poorly. But my welding can fix some of it, and filler just has to fix most of it. I know that's not a good thing to do, but I'll keep it thin like the filler. It's just some parts like that one. It's not really, well, the filler won't be thick. It's just needed to smooth that out, because it's just done so poorly. But for the most part, yeah, I think it's pretty much doable. I'm not sure about like the gear linkage and the brakes and the gas cables, and I need to do the brake lines, stuff like that. I've got zero experience with. I'm actually not really looking forward to that, because I've got no experience and it seems kind of hard, but I don't know. But we'll see. I'm not there yet. I want this bus to be in primer for the winter, and the winter is coming, so I have to hurry up. Well, now I showcased you everything about my bus, well, nearly everything. I'm not sure how I'm going to do the videos yet. I'm most likely going to do something and then talk about what I did. But I'm afraid that's less interesting than actually seeing what I'm doing. The problem is I like to work on things and not have to record. But maybe as a sacrifice I'm willing to take, to actually record and work at the same time. Currently working on the chassis, and so next video, no clue when that will be up. The next video, hopefully have progress in the chassis. I'm going back to uni as well, so progress will be slow, just a heads up. And well, thank you for watching. This has been very interesting, and I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you.